When someone you love hears the word cancer, the next question is brutally simple. Is there a medicine that can actually reach the thing causing it? Parabilis Medicines is built around that hard question. And on the cancerstocks, this IPO story starts there, not with a stock chart. You probably don't use Parabilis directly. Almost nobody does. It's a lab company trying to make medicines for targets inside cells that older drug designs often couldn't reach. So the central question is this: is the IPO price describing what Parabilis is today, or what investors hope it can become? Parabilis used to be called Fog Pharmaceuticals. It was founded in 2015, started operations in 2016, and its science traces back to Harvard professor Gregory Verdine's work on shaped peptides. That's not a guarantee of success, but it tells you this isn't a random overnight idea. Here's the plain English version. Parabilis makes specially shaped peptides, which are small, protein-like medicines, designed to slip into cells and grab disease-driving proteins that are hard to reach. Its lead drug, zolucatetide, is being tested in cancers tied to a pathway called WNT and beta-catenin. The everyday thread is the medicine shelf. Parabilis doesn't have a finished cancer drug sitting there today. It has a candidate that might one day earn that spot if trials keep working, regulators agree, and the company can turn a scientific idea into something doctors can prescribe. That matters because biotech money works backward from most businesses. A restaurant sells meals first and expands later. A drug developer often spends for years first, then hopes approval unlocks sales later. So the money engine here is future medicine revenue, partnerships, or both, not a simple product sale today. The IPO, meaning the moment a private company starts selling pieces of itself on the stock market, has already priced. Parabilis, listed on NASDAQ under the ticker PBLS, the short stock market nickname people use to find it. It sold 33.5 million shares at $20 each, raising about $670 million. Notice the pricing detail. Parabilis first aimed for $17 to $19 per share, then priced at $20. For a beginner, that usually means demand for the IPO was strong enough that the final price moved above the first range. That's interesting, but it doesn't make the science easier. The headline number is big, about $670 million raised, and an IPO value around $2.34 billion at the offer price. Put simply, public investors are putting a multi-billion-dollar price tag on a company whose main promise is still becoming a real medicine, not a finished product on the shelf. Why would investors care anyway? Because the target is important. The company says WNT and beta-catenin mutations are implicated in millions of cancer cases globally every year. Parabilis is trying to interrupt a specific interaction that has long been considered extremely hard to drug. That sounds powerful. But here's the catch. Early cancer data can be exciting and still not survive larger trials. The company reported early desmoid tumor results from a small group, including a 100% disease control rate in 10 patients with at least one follow-up scan. Small numbers can move hopes, not settle the story. The bull case is that this isn't just one drug. Parabilis says its Helicon platform combines lab experiments, custom chemistry, and AI models trained on huge internal datasets. In normal words, it's trying to build a repeatable way to design medicines for hard targets, not just get lucky once. If that platform works, the medicine shelf could matter far beyond one rare tumor type. The lead drug is being studied across rare and common tumor types, driven by similar biology. But investors have to be careful here. A platform is valuable only when it keeps producing drugs that survive testing. The company also has regulatory momentum. Zolucatetide received FDA Orphan drug designation for desmoid tumors in 2026, after Fast Track designation in the same condition. Those programs don't mean approval. They mean regulators see a serious rare disease need and may give certain development advantages if the drug keeps progressing. Now come back to the central question. Today, is this price tag about the company as it exists, or the company investors hope it becomes? With Parabilis, it's mostly the second. You're not valuing a steady stream of medicine sales. You're valuing the chance that the science turns into approved treatments. The biggest risk is simple enough for anyone to understand. The drug may not work well enough, safely enough, in enough people. Cancer drug trials can look promising early and disappoint later. If zolucatetide stumbles, the story doesn't disappear, but the stock market patience around that $2.34 billion price tag can shrink fast. The financial reality is also different from a normal company. Revenue is money coming in before expenses, and profit is what's left after the bills are paid. For a clinical stage drug developer, the key question is often cash burn, meaning how fast it spends to run trials and keep the science moving. Competition is not just another company with a similar logo. It's every lab, drug maker, and treatment path trying to win the same doctor and patient decision. Parabilis is aiming at a hard biological target, but if rivals find safer, easier, or faster approaches, the medicine shelf gets crowded before Parabilis arrives. So where does the IPO money matter? For a company like this, fresh cash is oxygen for clinical trials, manufacturing work, hiring, and more testing. Shares are tiny ownership pieces of the company, and selling more of them raises money. But it also means public investors now share the risk with earlier backers. Now that it's trading, watch 3 plain signals. First, do more patients show durable benefit? Second, does the company move zolucatetide into clearer late-stage plans? Third, does cash last long enough to reach those answers without painful dilution, where new shares make each existing share a smaller slice? That's the balanced version. The dream is a new kind of medicine reaching cancer targets that used to feel out of reach. The doubt is that science, trials, money, and time all have to line up. This IPO isn't scary once you see it clearly, but it is a serious bet. So when you hear PBLS, remember the medicine shelf. Parabilis is asking investors to fund the long road from promising lab science to something a doctor might one day prescribe. Follow the cursor stocks, and the next IPO story will feel less confusing. This video is for information and education only, not financial advice.